Hi, I'm Rodney Tomlin, and welcome to the 24th Annual Aeronautiques AMA Amateur National Motocross Championship at Loretta Lynn's. And joining me is Davey Coombs, and Davey, over 20,000 riders have tried their hand at making it to Loretta Lynn's this year, but only the cream of the crop have made it.
Yeah, that's right. Loretta Lynn's is the biggest motocross race in the world, and this year, some real standout talents here. Kids like Kyle Chisholm out of Florida, Daniel Sandy, Ryan Filippoto. You're going to see a lot of him next year. He'll be riding for Mitch Payton on the Pro Circuit Kawasaki team. But before he can worry about winning Anaheim, he's got to win his first Loretta Lynn's championship. And speaking of wins here, another guy to keep an eye on, Kevin Walker. He's a lifelong amateur racer. He could end this week as the #1 rider all time in Loretta Lynn's wins with 12, and that'd give him one more than both Mike Alessi and James Bubba Stewart.
And speaking of stars, we had another star return to Loretta Lynn's, to his home track, so to speak, with a little fun of his own.
Thanks, Ronnie. I'm here with Travis Pastrana, a former Loretta Lynn champion. So, you came back at something bigger than your bike this time.
No, for sure. It's great to be back here at Loretta Lynn's. All the awesome talent around. Got a monster truck this year, so I don't know. It's first time going over cars. See what happens.
So let's go watch you smash some cars.
Sounds like a good plan. Like a motorcycle, right?
Travis is awesome. I'm going to tell you what, he's a super guy. I mean, he's an awesome driver. He's a natural behind the wheel.
I got a lot more respect for these guys. That was awesome. You know, that was a lot of fun.
Do you think you're ever going to go pro?
I'd like to think someday, you know. But no, it's a lot of fun. And, you know, if I could ever try a monster truck event, I need a lot more practice, obviously. But it was a blast, man. And just to be here at Loretta Lynn's and to be able to drive for the first time in front of these people is a good feeling.
Well, congratulations. You did a great job for your first time, and we'll see you around.
Thank you.
Jason Wygant joining us now as we take a look at our Amsoil track map. And Jason, a wide, loamy track, one that creates a lot of passing opportunities and gets very rough throughout the course of the week.
That's right, Rodney, and one of the roughest sections is right here, the 10 Commandments. 10 different jumps, completely different shapes and sizes. That's about as tough as it gets in all of motocross.
And the big tabletop, we see Kevin Walker getting some big air there, and that's another favorite part of the race course as well.
Well, that's nearly 90 feet out. That's pretty big for an amateur track, and the toughest thing about building the track down here, we have 50s racing, we have veterans racing, and everybody in between. So this racetrack somehow, some way, is able to fit all kinds of motorcycles and all kinds of riders. They've been doing it for 24 years, so they got a pretty good idea how to build this place.
Yeah, about 1,300 plus riders, and you can see lots and lots of families camping there as we take a look at Loretta Lynn's actual home there, the big mansion. Right now, though, let's take a look at that track one more time through the eyes of our Scott Goggles helmet cam.
Now, the guy on the bike right now is AMA Sports motocross manager Ryan Holiday. He's the one that sets the rules and regulations down here, but he's raced at Loretta since he was about 6 years old, so he knows his way around this track as well.
As you can see, it's very wide, like we said a few moments ago. A lot of passing opportunities, and this is very early in the week, and already, Jason, the track is beginning to rough up quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. We run 20-minute motos down here, which is very long. It's very hot and humid, and the track is very rough. It's probably hotter, the motos are longer, and the track is rougher than anything these riders will face all year long. So it truly is the ultimate test for an amateur motocross racer.
Well, we went through the jump section there. Now we're in kind of a switchback section, and of course these riders will switch back around. A couple of sweeping turns will also face them before they make their way to the finish line region. And again, you know, the turns are very technical. A lot of passing going on through this portion of the race course.
Well, as they say in motocross, you really win the races in the corners. There are a variety of jumps out here, but as you see that big single as we head back toward the Aeronautiques Beach, another single, nothing supercross-like. It's not a game of rhythms. It's not a game of who can jump further. It's a game of who wants it more. And if you can pitch it sideways in those corners and keep your speed up, you can win some motos.
This is what our riders are looking at as they reach the finish line region. And of course, this is the last turn, and we do have a slight rhythm section here, kind of a double-double. And then, of course, we see the Aeronautiques finish line region right into that Thor six-pack, one that seems to bite a lot of riders.
Absolutely. This is about as supercross as it gets, and some of these kids are getting pretty darn skilled.
125A class is what we're going to take a look at first, Jason, and this one is definitely set to be a great one.
Well, the number 15 you see down there is Ryan Filippoto, one of the fastest amateurs of all time, but due to bad luck, he has never won a title here in Loretta Lynn's, and here's his chance in 125A.
Grabs an early lead there aboard that number 15 machine, and of course, Ryan Filippoto you think's going to be tough to beat, but he's got plenty of company back there.
Well, absolutely. Now, Filippoto used to have to battle Mike Alessi every year in the minis. Last year, Alessi was gone from that class, and then Filippoto got hurt. So that's why he's never won a title out here. But you can see early, Getting out front on the number 15, I think that's Freddie Carl behind him on 52.
That's right, the Yamaha rider out of Hobart, Indiana, and he's got plenty of company behind him also. Keep an eye out for Jake Weimer aboard the 51 and the 77 of Martin Davalos.
Now, Brian Villapoto actually overjumps that tabletop, bit of a hard landing here. Now watch him through this 10 Commandments section. That's a very, very difficult section, but he handles it with ease. And Villapoto is so fast, so smooth, he has already signed a pro contract for 2006.
Battle early on here in Moto number 1 as the number 19 of Bonnie and the number 52 of Carly are going head-to-head for that number 2 spot. Looks like right now, Jason, that Carly might have dropped to Bonnie's pressure.
Yeah, now he's got some additional pressure. You got Jake Weimer here on 51, 77. Davalos already went by. Look how deep those ruts are getting. And Carly, credit to him, he doesn't have the full mega talent factory backing like some guys like Villapoto and those Suzuki boys do. He's out there trying to make a name for himself. Meanwhile, you guys like Villapoto, their name is already well established.
Well, Villapoto well out front right now, but behind him is where the battling actually occurs for second place. But Moto number 1 honors goes to Villapoto, the number 15. Bonnie in second. Weimer will hold on to third as Carly ends up in fourth, and Martin Davalos back in the number 5 position.
Good job by Carly coming back to take that 4th place. It's a good-looking guy giving Ryan Villapoto his medals there, so he's finally got a gold. But here's what happens out here at Loretta Lynn's. We run 3 motos, and they're on 3 different days, so you've got to be consistent.
Moto number 2 looks like the number 51 of Jake Weimer gets off to a strong start, and Villapoto is going to have to work his way up and challenge early on in Moto 2.
Well, that's what you want to see. You want to see some of the kids get out, the fast kids, the talented kids get out together off the gate, and that's exactly the situation that we have out here in this second moto. Adam Chatfield on 42. He comes all the way from England. He's in the number 3 spot.
Starts are very critical, as you can see. 42 of the top riders in this 125 A-class doing battle right now, though. It is the 51 of Weimer out front, Villapoto in second. Back there in third, knocking on the door, Martin Davalos.
And what a battle we had for the lead here between Weimer and Villapoto. Villapoto, he knows if he gets his second moto win, he'll be in control of the overall headed into the final moto. But Weimer's not going to make it easy.
This battle lasts for a couple of laps up front between Weimer and Villapoto, and finally Villapoto gets around in that switchback section we were talking about there on the Scott Goggles helmet cam a few moments ago, and it's pretty much no looking back for Villapoto from this point on.
Oh, brief mistake from Weimer there. That's going to allow Villapoto to get a little breathing room, but he's pushing the envelope here too. Watch him coming into this corner. It's rough. Almost loses it on that Monster Energy Kawasaki, but Villapoto's going to be able to hold on.
And, of course, right behind him, Weimer in second. That's the way they're going to finish up here in Moto number 2 of the 125 Ace. Ryan Villapoto going to take the win. Jake Weimer going to post a second-place score. Back in third, Martin Davalos. Adam Chatfield from England in fourth, and Matt Bonney drops all the way back to fifth.
Another trip to the podium for Ryan Villapoto, but now the pressure's on. You got to run 3 motos out here. They all count. This will be Villapoto's last chance to win a title at his last race at Loretta Lynn's.
And you got to wonder, will he be able to make it a clean sweep here with a 1-1-1, and a couple of riders getting off to a strong start there. Fred Carl aboard that number 52 machine gets out early, but quickly also the 77 of Martin Davalos challenges, makes the pass, and there's Weimer back in third. Villapoto back in the number 4 spot to open up this third moto.
Yeah, he's got his work cut out for him. The fast kids are in front of him, but that's how you want to do it. You want to see him have to earn it, and he certainly will. He will put on a big charge in the middle of the pack.
You can see a lot of riders making that turn around the billboard section of Loretta Lynn's, one of the famed sections of the race course. I believe every part of this race course at Loretta Lynn's Dude Ranch is all famed. I think everyone remembers a small portion of it. And around that turn right there, a lot of passes made throughout the course of the week as well. But Villapoto right now in the hunt and looking for a third win in this third moto, so he can call it a clean sweep, and that's exactly what he does. Villapoto goes 1-1-1. Weimer back in second, Davalos in third. Corey Green actually coming up for fourth.
Ryan Villapoto, finally.
Yeah, you know, it's been a long, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years trying to get a championship here, and you know, finally my last race and last time going to be here, and you know, I pulled it off, and you know, it feels pretty good.
Well, Jason, one of the things that the riders always look forward to is Monday night's riders meeting. It's not your typical riders meeting. It's actually a big show, and Loretta Lynn actually showing up herself to, well, welcome the race fans and the racers to the Dude Ranch.
huge applause for Loretta Lynn, as you can tell. And they're very, very happy that she's been opening her door to motocross racing for the last 24 years.
And like we said, this is just a small part of a big event, but a lot of the riders always looking forward to such a great thing. Jeremy McGrath also coming to welcome out the fans, a 7-time Supercross champion.
And he's a former champion here at Loretta Lynn's as well. So the riders meeting, the people were pumped. At least there were fans and riders, I guess, in attendance at that meeting.
And here it is, the one that everyone's been waiting for, the 125A Pro Sport, Jason Lawrence and Ryan Villapoto going head-to-head.
This was going to be it. They both wanted 2 titles this year, but only one of them's going to get it because they have to face off in this Pro Sport class.
A couple other riders that you should keep an eye on, of course, will be the 32 of Kyle Chisholm and also the 77 once again of Martin Davalos, and don't count out the 19 of Matt Bonney, as he could be a force to be reckoned with in this 125A Pro Sport as well.
You see these guys coming around. There is Villapoto on 15, just going by. So a hard start in the first moto, and here's why. At Loretta Lynn's, it's fair for everyone. You randomly pick your gate selection. He had a very bad gate pick for the first moto, and he's got his work cut out for him coming through the pack.
We can see Villapoto now challenging Bonney as he's trying to work his way up through the pack from nearly dead last. Meanwhile, Jason Lawrence up front by himself aboard the number 38 machine. You know he's got to be wondering, where is Villapoto? And there is Villapoto trying his best to get through all the riders so he can just get to that number 38 machine and challenge him for the win here in this first moto.
Well, we do 3 motos out here, so if he can get in the third, maybe second, he'll still be in good position for a title, but there's no way he's catching this guy. Jason Lawrence, he lives in California now, born and raised in New Jersey, and he's already got a top 5 moto score as a pro, and he's got one more amateur race, and that's this one, and he's looking pretty good in it.
Well, believe it or not, Villapoto getting off to a very bad start will work his way up into a second place position as the checkers come out. Lawrence will take the win, Davalos in third, Bonney in fourth, and Kyle Chisholm will round out the top 5. On to moto number 2 of the big matchup between Villapoto and Lawrence. Let's see how it all breaks down right now. Looks like the number 32 of Kyle Chisholm will get off to a strong start here, but also that number 16 of Jesse Moore challenging and will actually take over the early lead, Jason.
Man, that is 4th gear wide open. That's about as fast as you ever expect to go on a motocross bike. And how about Moore holding it pinned and taking the lead?
Also, Fred Carley back there in that number 3 spot to open up early on here, the 125A Pro Sport Moto number 2. But quickly, things will change as the cream rises to the top. And of course, we'll be looking for Jason Lawrence and Ryan Villapoto to be duking it out for that number 1 spot when it's all said and done. But still, the battling continuing up front. Chisholm finally gets around the 16 or more. But right there, the number 38 of Jason Lawrence sits in the catbird seat in 3rd place.
Man, there is so much talent in this class. You're right, here comes Lawrence working his way forward, and he's about to challenge Moore and also Chisholm.
And they continue to carry on as the number 52 of Fred Carley holds on to a 4th place position. Meanwhile, check this out. The 16 of Jesse Moore is doing a great job of fending off these 2 Kawasaki's. And look at this, both of them trying to get around at once, Bonney and Villapoto, and he shuts the door on both of them, at least for the time being.
Man, Moore doesn't know which way to look, which way to turn. Meanwhile, we go back up front, Lawrence working over Chisholm.
And finally, Lawrence does make the pass on the number 32 machine. Kyle Chisholm will have to settle up for 2nd place. Meanwhile, Ryan Villapoto working his way up through the pack, and he's got his eyes set on that guy right there, the number 38, as Chisholm seems to be the only thing standing between him and that number 1 spot. But Villapoto does get around as Lawrence will take the win, Chisholm will take 3rd, Bonney in 4th, and Davalos holds on for a 5th place position. On to moto number 3 now.
All right, well, that was it. That second moto really told the story with 2 moto wins. Lawrence is in complete control of this class. Villapoto must win, and he needs a little help.
And, of course, I think the big help is going to come right here for Jason Lawrence, as he will not be challenged by Ryan Villapoto. Villapoto gets off the track and actually gets a banner. See, right there, the banner wrapped up in the rear wheel of that machine. And you know that's going to slow Villapoto down. Meanwhile, Jason Lawrence just continues to stretch things out here.
Well, you might say it was good luck for Lawrence, bad luck for Villapoto, but there's a lot of pressure when you get in these 3rd motos at Loretta Lynn's, and to be able to see through that and get a hole shot like Lawrence did, that shows just how calm, cool, collected that kid is.
Amazing that Villapoto is able to continue to roll around that racetrack with that much of a banner wrapped up there, but it doesn't matter. I guess sheer heart, will, and determination will keep the drive alive.
Here's the battle for second place. That one's alive too. Here comes Davalos coming after Chisholm. It's what it's all about at Loretta Lynn's. Great racing no matter where you look.
It takes a couple of laps to sort this one out. Kyle Chisholm under pressure this entire third moto, but eventually Kyle Chisholm will pull it out and take that second place position behind the number 38 of Jason Lawrence. As we take a look at the third moto results, it will be Lawrence, Chisholm, Davalos, Bonnie, and Cody Gilmore round out the top 5.
I mean, I got the title 125 Pro Sport, and that's what we're here for. I mean, Filippo is supposedly the next big thing, and I don't even know what place he got.
Now, you were one of the fastest amateurs throughout your whole career, but the last 2 years you have really stepped up. What changed?
Yeah, I mean, I just got a lot more serious about it last year for this race, and then just carried it on all the way through the year. I mean, just a little bit of hard work pays off a lot.
Welcome to our Thor Rider Spotlight featuring some of the top amateur racers that Thor backs, and one of them right here, Matt Bonney. You've been one of the top standouts for a couple of years. Take us through your racing career. How did you get started in this business?
My dad got me into it when I was about 3 or 4 and started taking it serious when I was 9. And when I was 9, I decided that I'm going to make it pro and I'm going to really do this right. And started coming to res when I was 11 and been doing it ever since.
You're one of the outstanding names here. Got some titles, some moto wins. How's it going this year?
It's getting off to a little bit of a rough start, but I think I can iron out all the problems out by the end of the week. I think I'm going to turn pro probably next year. May have one more year here left in me, and hopefully I do. I love this race. I always love coming here. It's almost a vacation for me, so I'm looking forward to it. I started riding for Thor probably in 2000, so I've been with them for over 7 years now. I really appreciate everything they do for me. They have the best gear, I believe, and that's why I ride for them. I like it.
125 B stock, another highly anticipated class. As we head down to the starting line, we see there the number 59 of Michael Caseberg as he is set and ready to roll into this first turn. But he's going to have lots of competition out there, including that number 75 of Josh Hill, who grabs the early lead here, Jason.
Josh Hill, the big favorite in the B classes. He could probably run up front in the A classes, the expert ranks. But the young man out of the Pacific Northwest on fire all week at Loretta Lynn's, just like he's been for the last couple of years.
And of course, that number 53 of William Duffy not far off the pace, as is Tommy Wright back in third to open up early on here in moto number 1.
Another rider to watch is the 88 of Sean Hackley on the Kawasaki Team Green ride. And again, the field really starting to stretch out early. This is your intermediate class. Riders coming out of the minis. They're fast, but they're not quite expert level yet.
And lots of riders once again trying to qualify for this division. And right here is the top 42 riders in the nation for this 125B stock Moto 1. Tough break there for that number 11 machine as we see him actually taking a spill there. That's Zach Alkire out of Jacksonville, Florida.
Gets that thing relit. Meanwhile, as we said, the fire is lit for Josh Hill, number 75. Won a couple of mini titles here, won the schoolboy classes last year, and now he's out front of the B class. And as good as the rest of these guys are, they had nothing for Hill all week long.
Check out this battle now here between the number 14 machine of Tommy Wright and also that number 53 getting by William Duffy. There's Hackley aboard the number 88 as he's trying to work his way up through the pack right now.
So Hill getting it done. He gets the start and he gets the finish here in moto number 1.
And Hackley does work his way up to second. Tyler Keefe in third. William Duffy falls off to fourth, and Tommy Wright holds on for a top 5 finish there in moto number 1. So we get set to head down to the starting line, moto number 2, and again, pretty much the same players. Keep an eye out for Josh Hill, Tyler Keefe, William Duffy, and also the number 88 of Sean Hackley, who's going to have a little bit of a rough moto here in moto number 2.
Yeah, championship hopes for Hackley are going to go up in smoke almost literally here in moto number 2 as Hill gets out front again.
Back there in that number 2 spot to open up early on here in moto number 2, Braden Barnes from Longmont, Colorado, getting off to a great start, Jason.
Man, this is tough. If you don't get a good start, you go into these 10 commandments, and you got to try to jump your way through there with a whole bunch of riders in front of you.
And of course, if Josh Hill gets off to an early lead, he is tough to reel in. As you can see, he's already beginning to stretch things out. Sean Hackley Jr. trying to reel him in, though, aboard that number 88 machine as Josh Hill continues to keep the gas on.
Hackley working hard, a little too hard. He winds up going down trying to catch Hill. Second moto is all important down here, and Hackley rode a little over the edge trying to get it done. That's what it's all about.
Hackley will lose a few positions there as he gets it refired back up and heads right back into the 10 Commandment section. Meanwhile, the number 35 of Ben Evans out of Boise, Idaho will take advantage of the situation and move into the number 2 spot, but too little too late. There's no way he can catch that number 75 of Josh Hill at this point.
Ben Evans, solid riding here to move up amongst the contenders list. A lot of contenders here in this B class, along with William Duffy.
Duffy moves up into that number 3 spot, and he will hold a solid third as they make their way toward the finish line. Josh Hill will take a second win and as many motos here in this 125 B stock class. And again, there's Duffy coming across the finish line for third, but Ben Evans gets second, Tyler Keefe in fourth, and Braden Barnes will round out the top 5 after an early battle up front.
Moto number 3, Hill's just got to hold on and get a solid finish to win another title down here. He knows how to do that. But the whole shot is actually going to go to Patrick Boyle on the 65 Yamaha.
Yamaha up front, and of course the 75 of Josh Hill, a couple of positions back. He's going to have to work his way into that number 1 spot. Check that out, the number 33 machine. Also putting up a lot of resistance there is James Ragsdale out of Phoenix City, Alabama. He gets off to a strong start here in the 3rd and final moto, but Josh Hill eventually working his way right to the front of the pack there, as we can see that number 65 of Patrick Boyle trying to keep pace right now. There is Sean Hackley also. We saw him go out in moto number 2 aboard that number 88 machine, but in moto number 3, he comes back strong, Jason Wygant.
Yeah, so now he's got a second and a DNF. He's going to come all the way back for a second again here in the 3rd moto. I'm sure Hackley wanted an opportunity to run with Hill. Unfortunately, just couldn't get it together off the start, had a little bit of bad luck, and Hill's going to go on to win all 3 motos and another championship here at Loretta Lynn.
A lot of eyes on that number 75 of Josh Hill. There's that number 14 of Tommy Wright, also running a very strong 3rd moto. The 88 of Sean Hackley, as we pointed out there a few moments ago. It's all going to be too little too late for all those riders, as Josh Hill will take a 3rd win, Hackley in 2nd, Duffy in 3rd, Tommy Wright the 14 and 4th, and Tyler Keefe will round out the top 5.
You know, it's hard work, and you know, the motos aren't as long as the nationals, and all this real, you know, this is just preparation for when you go to the big time. So I work extra hard, you know, so I'm totally prepared when I get here.
125B modified now, and once again, Josh Hill, the number 75 Yamaha, is going to be the one to watch in this moto as the gate drops on moto number 1. Let's see how it all breaks down. Again, we're watching out for the 75 of Josh Hill, but also keep an eye out for the number 93 of Brock Tickle.
Yeah, the B mod class, a couple more big haters in here, so Hill's going to have to fight for it. And bad news right there for Brad Keister, goes down early. And it's hard to be consistent over 3 motos, and especially over 6 motos when you're running 2 classes like Hill. So he's going to have some tough times here as well.
Tough times for a lot of riders as they're all trying to lay chase to that number 75 of Josh Hill, who jumps out to the early lead and doesn't look back. But the battle for second, the war wages on. Sean Hackley and William Hahn, the number 66.
Good battle here. Hahn's brother Tommy, he won a couple classes here in Loretta's a few years ago. He ended up with a pro factory contract. Will Hahn now trying to do the same thing, but it's going to be tough. Here comes Brock Tickle from Team Sirius, and he takes over the number 3 spot. And now the 93 is going to go after Hackley on the number 88.
And here's a battle that's going to really intensify as this moto wears on. Sean Hackley is feeling the pressure from that number 93 of Tickle, but can Tickle get around on that Honda? Let's just wait and see. Right here, it looks like he's setting him up for the pass, Jason, and Sean Hackley has nothing really to say about it from this point on right here.
Well, I like to say this. Tickle is serious about winning the championship in this class. A mistake by Hackley. Tickle takes over the second place spot.
And of course, the Pump X replay looking like this. You see, there it is. He just kind of swaps out there. The rear end just kind of slides out. Hackley loses position, but right back at it, we get in the battle for second, as Hackley is not going to be denied as of yet.
That's impressive to make a mistake like that and try to come back. He will not be able to repass, though. Hill will take the win. And Tickle is going to hold on for second, so he's in a good position for the overall.
Hackley in third, Will Hahn in fourth, and Jace Lewis, the number 22, rounding out the top 5 in a 125B modified moto number 1. Now on to moto number 2. Can Josh Hill grab another early lead as the gate drops, the riders through the first turn? And look at this, the number 75 machine once again out front, but he's got company this time around. It looks like the number 57 of Tyler Keith is also starting strong in Moto 2.
But Hill knows the game down here. You got to get out front early and not be stuck behind those guys in sections like the 10 Commandments. He gets around Keith, and Hill's going to try to roll away with it. If he can go 1-1 in the first 2 motos, he can cruise through the final one. So Brock Tickle, he's got to move up, and he's got to try to win this moto.
Look at this, the number 57 back there still battling, trying to stay alive as much as possible in that top 3 position, but meanwhile, Brock Tickle just makes easy work of the matter and then begins to reel in the number 75 of Josh Hill. The big question is here, now that he's reeling him in, can he catch him and can he actually make the pass?
Well, this is what it all comes down to here. Loretta's Tickle's going to go all out trying to catch Josh Hill. He needs to win this moto. That will make them tied going into Moto 3, and it'll be a showdown. If Tickle can't make the pass, well, then Hill's in complete control.
Dennis Jonan, the number 23, and William Duffy battling back in the number 3 spot now as we pick up this battle and check it out. This one is pretty intense also for the 3rd place position.
Duffy trying to get around Jonan. They head over that Supercross section and they make a right-hand turn. They're going to go past the billboards under a giant inflatable Maxxis tire. Jonan holding off Duffy.
He continues to do so. Will he be able to do it through the checkers? We'll just have to wait and see as we check back in with Josh Hill, our leader up front. Over that big tabletop, you can see big air being gotten by Josh Hill, the number 75, as we work our way around now toward the finish line region, that single section and that big, long sweeper right to that rhythm section just before the finish line and the checkers. And Josh Hill will call it 2 moto wins in a row here in the 125B modified with Tickle in 2nd, Jonan for 3rd, Jace Lewis in 4th, and William Duffy drops all the way back to 5th.
Well, Tickle couldn't get it done in that 2nd moto. He had to be bummed out because now Hill is in control of the overall. But Tickle's going to extract a little bit of revenge here. He gets the early lead, the Aeronautiques hole shot, and Brock Tickle wants to show everyone that he can win motos here in Loretta's.
Will Hahn also getting off to a strong start aboard that number 66, but there you see the number 75 of Josh Hill. He's got his work cut out for him as he has to work his way through the pack. Brock Tickle out front, not looking back as the rest of the guys just trying to reel him in. Back there in 5th place, the number 75 of Josh Hill. He's got a long road to hoe if he wants to catch that number 93.
Well, Hill's got a decision to make here. Does he go after the 3rd moto win, or does he just go after the title? And when you're dealing with Brock Tickle, again, that's serious competition there. It's going to be tough to get around him. So it looks like this time Hill might just go smart and decide to just take a good fit and win the championship instead of going all out for the moto win.
Number 40 of Bradley Graham having a strong 3rd moto here, but Tickle, the man in control. Important that Josh Hill get at least up to a 2nd place position so he can ensure himself the overall win in that 3 moto format there.
Hill working his way around Will Hahn now. That's going to put him in a championship position. Tickle's pulling away out front, but Hill's going to try to give him a run, but bad news for Sean Hackley.
Sean Hackley goes down here in this 2nd moto, and that's going to obviously post a DNF score for him. But back out front, Josh Hill and Brock Tickle, the battle for the lead is now starting to intensify.
See, a little mistake back there for Hill. He's risking a championship to try to win this moto. That's not the smart thing to do. He'll wisely back it down. And that means Brock Tickle's going to take the moto win, but it's not enough to stop Josh Hill from winning the championship.
Josh Hill gets that championship with a 1-1-2, and that's more than enough to win the overall championship as we head down to the podium to talk to Hill.
Yeah, you know, it's like I know just about everybody out there on the starting line. I'm all pretty good friends with them, so it's definitely fun out there, but you gotta put that behind you a little bit. But I worked my way back up, and I tried to get Brock, but it just wasn't happening, so I just tried to back it off a little bit, save the championship, you know?
A 1-1 situation after this second moto. I'm sure something cool to drink here in the moment, but
Long motos, hot weather, it's tough on bikes and riders here at Loretta Lynn's Ranch. But Sam Pierce, you and the folks of Liquid Performance got a way to keep these bikes running cool.
That's right. We've got 2 of the highest rated coolants in the country right now. We feel like they are the best. Right now, we're running about 15 to 20 degrees cooler on average than anything we've been testing against. It's hot out here. The bikes have a tendency to overheat. We're trying to keep them cool. We're trying to maintain the horsepower. Cool running motor maintains more horsepower. Coolants don't make horsepower, but they do maintain it. That's what we're after.
Liquid Performance got a variety of products for both big bikes and small bikes. Really specific how you dial these in.
That's correct. We have a large bike coolant that's a little heavier coolant. It's propylene glycol-based coolant. So is our mini coolant. It's designed for the smaller bikes. It's a little thinner version. It moves through the motors better. The smaller impellers just can't push the heavier coolants. So we have a special formula just for the small bikes also.
Well, that's the way you do it. Whether you got a big bike or a small bike, keep your bike running cool, maintain that horsepower with Liquid Performance. Jeff Tilton, full tilt, man, going upside down. What's it like out here at Loretta Lynn's?
This is amazing. You know, it's a different part of motorcycling, but, you know, we all love to ride dirt bikes. That's what it's all about.
This is where all our guys that ride freestyle now came from. They're all veterans from here. This is definitely home to them. I know Renner's been riding here since he was a really young guy. And that's one of the best things about coming up here. I like to see the younger generation coming up and riding and just watching them kill it. I mean, some of these kids, I'm amazed at how big they're going now and how hard they're riding. So it's definitely good to see that.
Freestyle motocross taking place on the starting line at Loretta Lynn's and the Amateur National Motocross Championship. A lot of these riders, believe it or not, graduates from Loretta Lynn's. Never thought they'd be doing things like this on the starting line. Jason Wygant.
I can't believe they're doing things like this anywhere. Look at that upside down whip. Another one by Ronnie Renner. Great to see the Red Bull Freestyle boys out here.
Freestyle, just a small part of the evening entertainment that takes place throughout this week-long event at Loretta Lynn's Ranch. That's why they call it the world's greatest motocross vacation, because there's something there for the entire family, which we'll see more throughout this DVD.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got things for the kids, we've got things for the adults, but you know what everybody likes to see? They like to see a backflip, Rodney, and there it is.
A backflip on the starting line at Loretta Lynn's Dude Ranch. Never thought I'd see that happen, but it does happen, and freestyle motocross, just a small part of a huge, huge event at the Dude Ranch. Let's go on now and take a look at our 250 Open A division and get right back into the racing action as things really start to heat up here in this 250 Open A class. Who's the one to watch out here for? Michael LaPaglia. Can he get it done? The gate's down and racing is underway.
Well, LaPaglia came in here. He wanted to win 2 classes and the AMA Horizon Award, but he's going to find out just how tough things can be here at the ranch. It's one thing to be the favorites, another thing to actually pull through when the motos begin.
Well, LaPaglia gets off to a somewhat decent start, but up front, it's Scott Simon, the number 81, and Grant Moreland, the number 35, that are actually battling it out for the early lead. And you see there the number 35 of Moreland making a small mistake, tries to go on the outside, but does not get around Scott Simon, the number 81. And Simon is on the throttle. Looks like he's going to be tough to beat here in moto number 1.
Last year, Simon had horrible starts in the B class and still won a title. This year, he's got good starts, and that's paying off. Moreland getting passed by LaPaglia. Now LaPaglia trying to go to the front.
And LaPaglia going to try to reel that guy right there in, number 81, Scott Simon. Will he be able to get it done before the checker flies? That question remains to be answered right here as you see him going around. He actually makes the pass on the number 81 of Scott Simon, but the battle is not over yet.
Yeah, Simon's going to try to keep the heat on here. They're into the 10 Commandments. LaPaglia on 31, trying to hold off Simon on 81. Here is LaPaglia, a hard right-hand corner, and into a tabletop section. Beginning to stretch it out just a little bit, so you're thinking to yourself, oh, LaPaglia's in complete control. Not quite.
There's Adam Chatfield from England and Tyler Smolders, the number 74, as they're battling it out back there for the number 4 position. But meanwhile, moto number 1 winner is Scott Simon, as he does get back around LaPaglia to take the checkers and first moto honors. And yet there you see him getting that gold medal. It's Chatfield in second. LaPaglia actually drops to third. Marshall in fourth, and Devin Sullivan rounding out the top 5 as we head to moto number 2 here in the 250 Open A division.
So a crash in moto number 1 is going to prevent LaPaglia from winning the moto. He will not mess around here in moto 2. He gets the whole shot. He gets out front. He leaves everybody, putting him in a good position for an overall championship.
Kind of lights a fire under the tail of Michael LaPaglia. He wants to show everybody he can get it done, but of course he's got company there. Robert Marshall, the number 66, is going to be one of those riders that's going to rise to the occasion, try to make a name for himself, and try to challenge LaPaglia for this second moto win.
It's almost impossible to count how many fast riders and how many contenders there are. Here's a few more of them. Sean Skinner now going after Marshall, and there's Simon right behind him in fourth.
And of course, Simon is coming from way back in the pack. You got to say hats off to that young man, but also hats off to LaPaglia, the current leader in this second moto of racing. Will he be able to hold on for the checkers? And there's Sean Skinner, also the number 50. He goes down, takes himself right out of this second moto, Jason.
Well, Skinner had a tough first moto as well, so that's going to knock him completely out of championship contention. He's one of the fastest riders out here. So tough luck for the number 50.
True heartbreaker. There's LaPaglia out front. Second place, the number 81 of Scott Simon. We see deja vu from moto number 1.
Yeah, but it's reversed now. It's a mirror image deja vu, if that makes any sense to you. LaPaglia now out front, and it's Simon doing the chasing. And how about Skinner recovering from that crash to get back into the top 5?
And of course, he is in the top 5 after finishing 21st in moto number 1. But moto number 2 winner Michael LaPaglia, Scott Simon in second, Adam Chatfield rounding out the top 3, and Sean Skinner will hold on to 4th as we head to 250 Open A moto number 3 now.
Title showdown between Simon and LaPaglia going into this one, but a bunch of other guys trying to play the spoilers role. Chief among them, Sean Skinner.
Redemption time for Sean Skinner as he finished 21st in moto 1, 4th in moto number 2. He's going for the win here in moto number 3.
Sean Skinner out front. Now look at the guy in the number 2 spot. That is Devin Sullivan. All kinds of bad luck this week. Ran second early in this moto and he'll have more bad luck later.
Back there in the battle for third now, Scott Simon aboard the number 81. Robert Marshall aboard the number 66. And this one intensifies through a good portion of this third and final moto. As you can see going through the Thor 6-pack now, that Scott Simon has got problems out of Robert Marshall. Will he be able to fend him off? We'll have to wait and see. Sean Skinner, though, is going to take this one all the way home to the checkers aboard that number 50 as we see him heading now into the 10 Commandments with Sullivan right on his rear wheel. And there's LaPaglia down and out here in moto number 3. Take his championship hopes right out the window.
A hard crash for LaPaglia. That was the end of it for him. So now Simon in this battle with Marshall is suddenly in position to win the championship. So he's got a bunch of things on his mind. Sean Skinner's only thinking about one thing, and that's winning this moto.
Again, a great moto for the number 50 of Sean Skinner. He is proving to the folks that what he knew the entire time, he was able to come down here and he was able to take a win as he does here in Moto 3. Marshall will take second, Scott Simon in third, Brad Smith will round out fourth, and Adam Chatfield back in fifth.
And Scott Simon will win your 250 Open A Championship. Congratulations to the Kawasaki Team Green Rider.
On to our 250 Open A Pro Sport, kind of a debut class for some of those riders that are getting ready to turn pro or have been racing pro. And again, the big name to watch here, Jason Lawrence, J-Law aboard that number 38.
Yeah, this is stacked, this class, but J-Law is probably the class of the entire field. You see him maneuver into third place there early.
And of course, he's got company out of Sean Skinner. Redemption time once again for him here in this class, the 64 of Kevin Hoagie, also making a name early on for himself in this 250 Open A Pro Sport class.
All these guys are fast in this class, Rodney, even deep in the pack. These riders have had some pro experience already, and Lawrence already with a couple of top 5 national pro motos.
And you know he's going to be tough to beat out here in this 250 Open A Pro Sport classes. All eyes are on that number 38, but you know, anything can happen throughout the course of the week as we turn our attention back to that battle for second place. Sean Skinner and Daniel Sandy. This is one that's going to go on nearly the entire moto between these two riders before it's all sorted out. Meanwhile, both those guys still trying to reel in the number 38 of Jason Lawrence. Can they get it done?
Well, Sandy finally does get it done, at least with, as far as Skinner is concerned. He moves into the number 2 spot. That will prove huge later on in the week. Skinner will hold on for third.
What great battling early on here in moto number 1, the first race of the week for these riders in this 250 Open A Pro Sport class. Sean Skinner again, a solid third place ride here in this first moto of racing as Jason Lawrence. J-Law takes the win. Sonny will take the second place position.
Yeah, that moto is good. I didn't get the best jump, but my bike, PR2, is an awesome motor. Got me to the first turn, top 5. Worked my way around them by the time we got out of the whoops, and kind of how I did it last year. And I got by everyone right away.
250 Open A Pro Sport moto number 2 now as the gate drops. Hondas get out to the early lead, and that's at number 16 once again of Jesse Moore out of Arp, Texas. Had a 14th place finish in moto number 1. Let's see if this better start will do him a little better here in the second moto.
Lots of competition. It's got to deal with Skinner, who gets out front. Skinner trying to be the opportunist. Had some problems with 250A, but in the Pro Sport class, Skinner looking good early on in moto 2.
Quickly, the battle for the lead. Sean Skinner and Daniel Sonny. That's the way it opens up here in this second moto. These guys are going to go at it for a while, but where is the 38 of Jason Lawrence? J-Law nowhere to be seen. There he is, the number 38, now working his way through the Thor 6-pack. He's got some ground to make up here.
Well, what happened is Lawrence crashed behind the billboards under that Big Max's tire. Took a while to get his bike fired up. He's way back in the pack. Meanwhile, Cody Gilmore trying to get around our whole shot artist, Jesse Moore.
And that's the battle for 5th place. Meanwhile, back up front, the number 50 of Sean Skinner begins to stretch this one out. He's probably wondering to himself, where's the 38 of Jason Lawrence? And back there in second, still the number 68 of Daniel Sawney.
It's a classic situation at Loretta Lynn's. All the motos count. Lawrence with a problem. Suddenly, Skinner and Sawney are in contention for the championship going down to the final moto.
Sure makes the other class look, well, kind of pale in comparison to this class for the number 50 of Skinner. Also, Daniel Sawney is making a name for himself in this 250 Open A Pro Sport class. And when it's all said and done, your winner is going to be that number 50 of Skinner with Sawney in second, Kyle Chisholm in third, Brad Smith in fourth, Cody Gilmore in fifth, and way back in 14th is where J-Law finishes aboard that number 38 machine.
So now we're looking at a tie going into Moto 3 between Sean Skinner and Daniel Sawney. Here's the showdown.
Who's going to get the early lead? How's it all going to break down? Is Jason Lawrence going to be able to redeem himself here in motor number 3 as they battle through the first few turns? That's the number 96 machine, and that is none other than Jim Neese out of Julian, North Carolina, who grabbed that early lead. Another rider we haven't seen a whole lot out of in those first two motos, Jason.
Here is your battle for third, and that's a championship battle. Skinner and Sawney, they bump, and Skinner goes down, but he will dig down deep. It is not over yet.
Losing a couple positions there, but he gets right back on the gas and reels him right back in. Skinner and Sawney, and check this out. Skinner goes down. Tough break for him. That'll pretty much throw every chance he has out the window of winning this championship now.
Oh, he was pushing so hard, riding so far over the edge trying to catch Sawney. He did it, but watch what happens in our Pump X replay. These jumps, it's hard to clear those things. It gets thrown over the front of the bike, and then it's curtains for the championship effort of Sean Skinner.
Well, Skinner fortunately comes up uninjured there. The only thing injured there is his pride, and you can tell the frustration as he runs back to remount that machine and try to salvage whatever he can out of this third and final moto. Meanwhile, Kyle Chisholm takes advantage of the situation, and Jason Lawrence also. He works his way all the way to the front of the pack. He's the number 1 rider here in this third moto, so he goes 1:14.1 in this 250 Open A Pro Sport class. He won't get the championship, but he does get third moto honors by taking the win with Chisholm in second.
You never know what can happen at Loretta Lynn's. This class was wide open, 258 Pro Sport, but Daniel Sawney, your champ.
Yeah, you know, it's cool to be coming here. I came here after the Nationals, so I had some new fire, and I had fun. I rode a different bike. You know, like I said, we've been riding them 125s at the Nationals, and riding a bigger bike, it makes it fun.
Back with you down here at the Kicker Ogio Creek. We got the Kicker guys launching t-shirts out of the biggest t-shirt can I've ever seen in my life. Check this out. We're now inside of the Kicker Ogio tent. I came across these stencils. I'm gonna start spray painting. And obviously I'm not that good of a spray painter or a tattoo artist. All right, guys, this could get ugly. I'm a little nervous. First tattoo. All right, that's good. All right, we're rocking and rolling now. I got a tattoo. You can't really make it out. It's all right. That's the way we roll here at Loretta. You just got to go with it. All right. You guys pretty much got it covered down here at the beach.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you got nothing else to do. You're just sitting around doing nothing. Come on down here.
I brought a little soldier in, Jason Lawrence, teenager, the phenom, the up-and-coming thing. Me and Lawrence are gonna duke it out right here on this jousting mat. You ready? Ready? What do you got?
Oh, I'm ready.
I got so much height on him, the reach, he's done. I'm gonna swoop his legs.
Lil D declares himself winner in the jousting showdown with Jason Lawrence, but it looks like an actual tie, both getting 2 points each as we head to the 250 Open B stock class now, Jason.
Well, this is a tough one. Josh Hill's not in this class, so suddenly you got a lot of kids thinking they've got a shot at a national championship here at the Aeronautics Loretta Lynn Nationals.
Grabbing the early lead in this 250 Open B stock moto number 1 is going to be that number 70 machine, Forrest Smith from Odessa, Florida. But he's going to have plenty of company back there. Like we said, Jace Lewis, Jimmy Albertson, Zach Miller, Brock Tickle, and the entire field that are going to be knocking on the door for that number 1 spot soon. Can Forrest Smith defend them off? Still early in the moto as Jimmy Albertson comes up the challenge and actually takes over the lead. And there you see the number 70 of Smith dropping off to second, but he'll just continue to drop back a little further as Brock Tickle now mounts a challenge for that number 1 spot on Albertson.
Great battle there. Also a good battle for fourth. You got Jace Lewis out of Georgia, James Ragsdale. We saw him earlier in the week in another class. And look at this, just unbelievable wars here in this B class.
These guys all want a piece of that first place pie, but it looks like Jimmy Albertson is going to be the man that gets the biggest slice of the pie, at least in moto number 1. But he's still got company out of the number 93 of Tickle. Tickle will not be denied, or will he, as we work our way toward the end of this first moto of racing. And again, this is first moto setting things up. We got 2 laps to go here, and Albertson still in the lead with Tickle knocking on the door around the billboards. It looks like he's set up and going to make the pass, and he does. Tickle will take the lead over from Albertson and carry it all the way to the Moto 1 win here aboard that number 93.
Albertson second, Lewis, Miller, and Massey run out your top 5. It's just wide open in this class. Any of those guys are still in championship contention as we move to the second moto.
Still 2 motos to go, as you said, Jason. This is moto number 2 of 3. The gate is down and into that first turn. Here comes the bat. Ooh, a little bit of sideways action there, setting off a chain reaction for some of our riders. They're going to get up. They're going to be A-OK getting back into the racing action. Meanwhile, these riders continue to work their way back and forth, back and forth. Who's going to grab the lead? Looks like Jimmy Albertson out of Billings, Montana is going to get credit for that second moto lead early on.
All right, so Albertson second in the first moto is working on a moto win here. Here's Chase Lewis on the number 22. He's in contention as well. And Joey Bitto there in third. Meanwhile, Brock Tickle had the lead early. He ran into some problems. We go a little further back in the pack. You got Zach Miller and John Higby. They're battling for 6th.
Some great battling all the way through our 42-man field, believe it or not, as Jimmy Albertson in this second moto pretty much dominates here. It looks almost like Josh Hill out there, but it is Albertson. Jace Lewis, who finished 3rd in moto number 1, will move into the number 2 spot, and he is going to sit there for the rest of that second moto. Battle for 4th, though, between Jeff Loop and Zach Miller. Who's going to win this one? Looks like Miller's going to actually get around on that number 73. Back there in the 3rd place position, Joey Bitto aboard the number 20. And there's another rider that we haven't talked a whole lot about, but he makes a name for himself here in this second moto.
Well, this class is wide open. Albertson trying to stake his claim to a championship. Lewis will take 2nd, and Lewis continued to improve steadily throughout the week. And he had an outside shot at the title going into the 3rd moto.
So it's Albertson, Lewis, Zach Miller in 3rd, Joey Bitto actually in 4th, and Jeff Loop will round out the top 5 aboard the number 29. Now on to moto number 3. Championships to be decided here is between Jace Lewis, Jimmy Albertson, and Zach Miller, the number 73 Honda.
But here's the real story. In the other B class, Albertson crashed in the first turn in his 3rd moto there. He comes into this 3rd moto with his shoulder basically dangling out of the socket, and he's going to try his best to hold on. Meanwhile, Lewis knows he has to win this moto to go for the title, and he goes right for the throat, going after Brock Tickle early.
Jace Lewis will solidify the lead early on. Brock Tickle, meanwhile, throughout the entire moto, will knock on the door. Back in 3rd, Vince Freese, who was running a very strong 3rd place position, washes out all by himself in that sweeper turn. Meanwhile, back up front, Jace Lewis from Carrollton, Georgia, out front, and he's still got company back there from the number 93 of Brock Tickle.
Yeah, so Lewis under all kinds of pressure. He has to win the moto to win the title. Tickle is one tough customer, and he's going to make it very difficult on Lewis. Meanwhile, behind them, Albertson is just trying to hang on. He needs to get 2nd place in this moto. Tickle's not going to make that easy.
Holding on back there in that 3rd place position is Albertson, and back behind him in the 4th place position trying to reel him in is none other than the number 73 of Zach Miller. Zach Miller having a couple of strong 1st and 2nd motos, also riding very strong in this 3rd and final moto back there in the 4th place position when it's all said and done. And of course, the way things break down, it's Lewis, Tickle, Albertson, Miller, and Durham 1st through 5th. Let's head down and talk to Jace Lewis on the podium.
I just came into it knowing I could do it. I had a lot of confidence in myself, and it went good. It went real good.
Open B modified class now. Once again, all eyes going to be on the number 61 Yamaha of Albertson, but also don't count out the number 91 of that young man out of Danville, Kentucky, Tyler Bowers, on board the Honda.
Well, those are some of the favorites. Unfortunately, some other riders, things do not go quite as well for them. A big pile up here in the second turn. Nobody hurt except for their championship chances.
Quickly out front, though, the 61 of Albertson doing exactly what the folks expected him to do, grabbing an early lead and going to make it tough for the rest of the field in this 250 Open B modified division. But all these riders all have the heart and the hunger to do it. It's moto number 1, so anything is possible, especially early on in the week as these guys are trying to make a name for themselves. Looks like the number 91 of Bowers, though, will move into the second place position, and the battle that everyone was waiting for, it's right there, Albertson and Bowers, and Bowers is working it hard as they head into that 10 Commandment section. It looks like Bowers actually going to make a pass, or will he? And does he make it stick once he does get around? Yes, he does.
That was an unbelievable pass by Bowers. He went about 15 feet wide, and you wouldn't think that's a smart line, but he uses it, and now Albertson's going to return the favor. A second pass around the outside. Great racing between these two. This will ultimately be, of course, your championship showdown as well.
Moving back to that battle for third, Dennis Jonan and Bradley Graham as we see them making their way around the big sweeper turn on the 23 and the 40. And here comes Graham on the outside, actually moving into that number 3 spot.
Giving himself a chance at the championship as well. Like we said, it's moto number 1, and Albertson will respond to the challenge of Bowers and win the moto.
And of course, Bowers in second, Graham third, Dennis Jonan in fourth, and Will Hahn, the number 66, will round out your top 5 here in moto number 1 of this 250 Open B modified class.
All right, here is your showdown in Moto 2, the rematch, the 61 and the 91, Albertson and Tyler Bowers.
Gate drops and into that first turn, a mad dash. It looks like the number 29 Honda, Glenn Martin out of Boones Mill, Virginia, will grab the early lead, but quickly around him will be that 61 of Jimmy Albertson as Albertson just sneaks and steals that number 1 position, but that number 29 still back there in contention early on in this moto.
And there's big old number 91, Tyler Bowers, bullying his way through traffic. He starts out in about 5th place, and he's going to try to come back and win this moto to put himself in position for a title. And like we said, the rematch was on. Albertson and Bowers again.
It's a matter of who's the hungriest between these two riders. We know that they're capable of passing each other. We've already seen that happen in moto number 1. Right now, though, Bowers applying the pressure to Albertson, and Albertson actually falling to that pressure as Bowers will take over the lead, but Albertson is still right there on his rear wheel. Albertson from Billings, Montana, and Bowers from Danville, Kentucky. This is the way this battle's going to go all the way through this second moto.
Bowers is awesome to watch ride a motorcycle. Lots of talent, lots of style, and a second moto win. So they're tied going into the third moto. Albertson and Bowers, this is going to be a battle.
Well, tides turn here in moto number 3 of the 250 Open B modified. Off the start, trouble early on for the 61.
Yeah, unfortunate. Look at that. In the center of the pack, Jimmy Albertson goes down very, very hard. He hurts his shoulder, and basically the championship is over before it even starts here in moto number 3.
And I know that the number 91 of Tyler Bowers hates to see that because he wanted to take Albertson all the way through moto number 3 to see who the true champion was. Tough break for him. Tough break for those riders right there is the number 70 going down there for Smith.
28 is Kyle Glass, so they're down early, crashes all over the place. But Tyler Bowers able to rise above. Like you said, he would have loved to have had the real showdown with Albertson, but he'll take it any way he can. And look at that speed of Tyler Bowers. He's only 14 years old.
Dennis Jonan back there in the number 2 spot now aboard the number 23. No riders really offering any true competition to the number 91 of Bowers. He is going to be a threat for a long time in his class as he is only 14 years old. We mentioned that a few moments ago. There's Will Hahn, though. He's now battling for 3rd place with Zach Miller.
All right, good battle between the Honda guys here. Hahn in 4th, trying to get around Miller in 3rd. But no one can get around Tyler Bowers, and he is going to win this 250 Open B Moto and the championship. You and Jimmy Albertson had a showdown on the way. Were you a little worried about that?
Yeah, a little bit. Jimmy seemed a little bit nervous too. I mean, who can't be nervous? It's a tough race. There's a lot of pressure, and
You know, just Jimmy couldn't hold it together. He's a great rider, man. He's my biggest competition right now, so it's just sad that we couldn't get out there and battle that moto.
Well, Tyler Bowers takes the championship. Your heart's got to go out to Jimmy Albertson, who went into 2 separate third motos with a chance at a championship, and he'll come up empty both times. Tough break, but he'll be back next year. That's the way it works here at Loretta Lynn.
Amsoil is the official oil of Loretta Lynn's AMA Amateur Nationals. Legendary performers like Kevin Windham and Michael Rocco and future legends Tommy Hahn, Josh Grant, and Billy Laninovich rely on Amsoil premium synthetic 4-stroke and 2-stroke oils. Extreme performance for extreme conditions. Amsoil offers a full line of auto, diesel, marine, ATV, and motorcycle oils. If it has moving parts, it needs lubrication. More power, more performance. Amsoil maximizes horsepower, reduces friction for cooler running engines, and is proven to provide unsurpassed wear protection. Amsoil, premium synthetic oils the pros use. Another one of our evening highlights here at Loretta Lynn, celebrity basketball on Thursday night. Ricky Carmichael there, Bevo Forti also there, but neither one of them actually playing the game. They're the coaches. Ricky Carmichael's team versus Bevo Forti's team from Scott Goggles.
Yeah, just another one of the cool highlights. We get some celebrities out here to play basketball, some industry people trying to show that, well, we can't ride motorcycles as well as RC, but we can ball it up pretty good.
Jeremy Myers going to left. It's the incredible Cross. Waldo with the rebound over the line. Ryan all the way to the backside. Waldo with the wall. He takes it from the outside. It's no good. Here comes Steve Johnson.
More evening activities with our celebrity basketball game. That's where all of the fun is at nighttime, but we're here for one reason, and that's the racing. So let's get back to business as we head into the 4-stroke class, 201 cc's to 650 cc's. And again, Tyler Bowers, a big name in this class. Will he be able to do it?
Well, you got Michael Paglia in here as well, Jake Weimer. This used to be a weird class. It was like the guys on the freak bikes that they custom built. But nowadays, any 4-stroke is competitive, and a lot of the top talent decide to race this class.
And of course, as we open things up early on here, Michael Paglia is going to be the one to beat as he jumps out to the lead. You see there aboard that number 31 Suzuki and taking that 4-stroke, well, mastering this race course. And he's got plenty of experience under his belt with a couple of motos already early on this week before he jumped aboard the 4-stroke bike. Meanwhile, back in second, there's where we see the battling start to shape up. The number 51 of Jake Weimer feeling lots of pressure from that number 84 of Brian Stone. But here comes Ty Bowers also.
All right, Bowers, Weimer. Stone's been out there forever. He's one of a veteran in this class. Probably wishes these kids weren't in here because Weimer and Bowers able to get around him, and they're battling for second place.
There you see the battle as they head through the sweeper turn. And again, a little further back, here's the number 84 machine again of Brian Stone feeling pressure. That one from the 82 of Charlie Bogart.
Bogart's eventually, unfortunately, going to crash. That'll knock him out of championship contention. But LaPaglia, well, he would like to think that he had no competition in here because he won this first moto going away.
Well, Mike LaPaglia will take the moto win back there in the second place position where things all start to get sorted out between Weimer and Bowers. Looks like Weimer will take second, Bowers in third. Sheely will take fourth as we head to moto number 2 now.
Good start by 51. That's Weimer on the inside. His teammate LaPaglia right there. And Tyler Smolders, smoldering pass. And he moves into the number 2 spot. LaPaglia is going to try to get him right back.
Well, as LaPaglia opens up his lead, the battle for second wages on. The 51 of Weimer and the 91 of Tyler Bowers back there battling it out for second place. And this one will go pretty much throughout the entire moto as we make our way through that Thor 6-pack now. Check out, coming behind him right there, that number 80 of Devin Sullivan running in a 4th place position, taking himself completely out of the race, it looks like, as we take a look at that through our Pump X replay.
Well, it's a six-pack there, but I think he lost count of how many numbers there were where he was supposed to jump. But Sullivan will get back up and running and finish 6th in this moto.
Well, it looks like Bowers will get around Weimer and now challenge LaPaglia for that #1 spot midway through the moto. So it is LaPaglia and Bowers is showing himself to be a force there. A little bit of a mistake it looked like he made there, and quickly Weimer will strike back and begin to mount a challenge, and it looks like Weimer will actually make the pass and move into the #2 spot as LaPaglia will take the win here in moto #2, giving him a 1-1. But back in second and third, again, it is Weimer and Bowers with Kevin Rookstool in fourth and Tyler Smolders holding on to fifth to round out that second moto. On to moto 3 now.
Now LaPaglia's going to hold on and win the title. Another great start by Weimer on the 51. Smolders in there again as well. LaPaglia's only going to hold on here. He just needs a solid moto. Doesn't need to win it to win the title. Weimer would love to get a moto win in the meantime.
In third aboard the #11, Jacob Miller, and even further back, the 91 of Bowers as he's got his work cut out for him. Meanwhile, up front, it's the 51 of Weimer and also LaPaglia, and Weimer goes down and takes himself out of the hunt for the win.
What's going to be tough now, LaPaglia is suddenly in the driver's seat for a moto win and a championship. Didn't work out for him in his 250A class, but a lot better luck here. Not quite out of the woods yet, though. Bowers continuing the charge from behind.
Bowers had to work his way up through about 4 or 5 riders in order to get into the battle position with LaPaglia, and he does it. He actually pulls into the lead for a little bit, but it's not going to be enough, I don't believe, as Jake Weimer also working his way back up through the pack, and LaPaglia is poised and ready to strike as he gets around Bowers, and there is Bowers now trying to fend off the number 51 of Weimer. It's amazing how things changed here in that third and final moto.
Only thing that didn't change, Mike LaPaglia won all 3 motos, and he is your 4-stroke national champion.
All week long, I've been riding my hardest. First 2 motos, I rode my butt off and, won both motos by a pretty good bit. This last moto, got off to a second place start behind Jake Weimer, the guy who's in second, and he fell. I got the lead, had a battle with Tyler Bowers towards the end. Got back into the lead after he passed me and, won this race, went 3 motos for first, and it's great.
25-plus class now as we begin our A's divisions. Favorites here, Charlie Bogard and also Jimmy Evans as moto #1 now underway.
All right, into the first turn. Hasn't raced Loretta Lynn in a long, long time, but the number 14 of Mike Caton's going to get out front early in this one.
Mike Caton has been tearing up the arena cross races for several years, making a living, believe it or not, doing that kind of riding, and decides this year he wants to come down and try his luck in the 25-plus class. As you can see, doing pretty good. Also, the number 66 of John Kidd Jr. out of Graytown, Ohio on his Honda, starting off with a strong first moto. Battle for second back there's Jimmy Evans and Brian Stone, though, a couple of names familiar to the 25-plus class riders.
Evans going to work his way toward the front of the pack. You can see they had just watered this track, so it's pretty muddy out there. Oh, Bogard, another one of our favorites, goes down in that very slippery situation there in that corner. Meanwhile, here comes Evans. He's covered in mud. He doesn't care. He's finally going to make that pass on the 84, Brian Stone.
Brian Stone could do nothing but watch now as the lead begins to stretch out by Jimmy Evans, the number 58 machine. And Mike Caton will pull up into a number 3 position out of East Sparta, Ohio here late in the race. But there's a battle for the lead. Check that out. Evans and Stone getting together.
Well, Evans crashed into a lap rider there, and here's the real problem. When he fell, he caught his hand in the chain of that number 88 rider. He was injured, and that took the championship hopes for him away as well.
So tough break there. As you can see, this one's still far from over. Late in the moto, battle for the lead. Charlie Bogard and Brian Stone going at it. Bogard actually jumping past Stone. Will he be able to hold on to it to the checkers as Charlie Bogard will take moto #1 honors here?
Man, everybody had problems with that one. A bunch of crashes all over the place. Tough break for Jimmy Evans. Tough break for Charlie Bogard, except with his crash, he wound up coming back and winning the moto anyway.
Destry Abbott, a Desert Racer, actually finishing in 5th place in that 25-plus class as we head to Moto number 2 now, and the action heats up right off the bat once more.
Well, as Evans grabbed the whole shot, but like we said, he's injured now, caught his hand in the rear wheel of another rider, and he's definitely not 100% here, and he will not be able to hold on for the Moto win. It's Bogart trying to set himself up for a championship here.
Those riders all trying to work their way into the 10 Commandments. Meanwhile, as they work their way back out over the big tabletop and turning towards the Camelback, it is the battle for the lead between Stone and now Mike Caton, the number 14 rider, who has pulled up, and check that out. Again, it looks like Bogart trying to jump into another position. Looked like 3rd place there.
Oh, and a move around the outside. Great move by Caton to get around Stone. And we see Bogart is now moving into the 3rd place spot. So, Caton out front here at Moto number 2. Will Stone be able to hold Bogart back? Here is the battle rematch of Moto number 1.
This is where the championship battle, a lot of folks are thinking, coming down right here between Brian Stone, the 84, and Charlie Bogart, the number 82. And again, several laps of intense battling like this for the 2nd place position before it's all said and done. Meanwhile, the battle up front is now Charlie Bogart and Mike Caton later in the Moto. And Charlie Bogart has reeled in Caton. As you can see in the 10 Commandments, he goes right on by.
Man, so Bogart is able to get around Evans, is able to get around Stone, and now he passes Caton. Can't say he didn't earn this one. Fighting hard, riding hard, and Bogart takes the lead.
And actually, Mike Caton doing a lot better than probably what a lot of people anticipated him doing. Better known, I guess you could say, for the arena cross racing. But Charlie Bogart will take the 2nd Moto win here in this 25-plus class, setting the stage for Moto number 3. But Caton will take 2nd, Stone will take 3rd, Evans in 4th, and Doug Stone will take 5th.
All right, here it is, Moto number 3 with 2 Moto wins under his belt. The favorite certainly is Bogart. A couple riders down. That is one of the most unbelievable first-turn crashes I've ever seen. Caton gets out front. Now, here's the problem for Bogart. He actually got injured in the 4-stroke Moto, and he is not 100% here. He's going to try to have to dig down deep and hope that Caton doesn't win the Moto, but Caton is out front.
Brian Stone back there in that number 2 spot, as he is definitely keeping Caton honest throughout this Moto. As you can see early on, especially Mike Caton, the number 14, is out front, but not too far behind the 84 of Brian Stone. Caton is riding on a rail, though. He is, he's hoping for the possibility of a championship here. Meanwhile, back in the 5th place position, Charlie Bogart, whom everyone thought was going to win this class.
Yeah, again, Bogart is injured. Caton is going to win the Moto, and bad news for Bogart. That's enough for Caton to win the championship.
3rd Moto results, Caton, Stone, Evans, Bogart, and Doug Stone to round out the top 5. I'm here with Bill Savino in the Honda backyard, and of course, Honda here with us at Loretta Lynn's one more year in the Honda Riders Club of America. Bill, I tell you, you guys have really come a long way with your amateur support, and not only the amateur support, but with your display that you've got here at Loretta's this year.
Definitely, we obviously love coming to Loretta's. It's a good time. It's kind of a nice week to get out of the office, but thanks again to the Coombs family and for putting on such a great event. And we're having a blast down here. Just we could bring the air conditioner in and kind of cool this place off.
On to the Vet 30-plus class now, and Kevin Walker's staged to make history.
Yeah, Kevin Walker, if he wins 2 titles here, will lead as the all-time king of Loretta Lynn's ranch, but he's going to have some competition here in this Vet 30 class.
Early on, it looks like that number 70 gets off to the early lead. That's John Gruey out of Cedar Springs, Michigan. And, of course, the number 11 of Walker is the one we're keeping an eye out for, trying to win not only this Vet 30-plus moto, but also the 35-plus moto for his name in the history books. Kevin Walker out to the lead now as we see the battle for second between young Gruey and Caton.
Yeah, now Caton, remember, won that 25-plus class. He's back in it here in the 30-plus. Great battles. You got Chris Young, John Gruey, Mike Caton, all Suzuki's battling for second place.
And, of course, this battle will intensify as the moto continues. There goes the number 14 of Caton as he moves into the number 3 spot now. He's got his sights set on that number 91 of Chris Young.
But Kevin Walker, they had no sights on him. He is the master of this racetrack. We're winning a whole bunch of vet titles. Right now, James Stewart and Mike Alessi have the all-time championship record. but Kevin Walker's going after them.
Check out this battle now as second place intensifies. It is Caton and Young still going at it.
Really strange riding style for Kevin Walker. Just sits straight up. Doesn't look like he's trying very hard, but it works. And he just rolled to the final lap of this moto. So far, he's going for 6 moto wins. He has 1.
Walker gets the win. Young takes second. Mike Caton will drop off to third. Gruy in fourth.
So Kevin Walker going through the proper stages to try to get another championship here. Moto number 2. Caton on the number 14, moving out front, but look at that, it's Gruy again grabbing the whole shot.
Gruy is trying to make his own mark in this 30-plus class, but look at this. There goes Caton quickly to the front. It's side-by-side as they head into that 10 Commandment section, and the battle for the lead here in Moto number 2 is well underway. Where's Kevin Walker? How close is he to that battle to the number 1 spot?
Bad start there for Walker. He's going to have to try to work his way forward now. Caton going to try to take advantage of this and get away. And here's some riders right now. Chris Young on the 91 and a whole bunch of other guys battling on that big Maxxis tire. No sign of Walker, who actually would go down and have to charge up from the back. Meanwhile, Caton was out front all alone.
Looks like Caton here in Moto number 2 had things going his way as he did get off to an early lead. But back here in the battle for second, Gruy and Destry Abbott, the desert racer, actually battling for that second place position.
It took a moto or so for Abbott to remember how to get over a starting gate well, but once he figured that out, he was fast, and he gave those guys everything they could handle. Now here's Walker. He would climb it all the way back to 5th, but that would not be enough, because Caton suddenly was in control of this championship headed into the last moto.
So Abbott takes second, Gruy third, Doug Stone in fourth, and Kevin Walker in 5th.
So how about this? Mike Caton, he wears the number 14. He has not raced Loretta Lynn's in 14 years, decided to give it a try, and now he's going for his second title of the week.
Moto number 3, it looks like Caton will get out to the early lead once again with the number 70 Suzuki of John Gruy right behind him, and the battle wages on early on as those guys slice and dice back and forth to try to see who's going to be the dominator.
All right, now Walker getting around Caton. Some guys have pulled some funny business here. If Caton finishes second to win the title, Walker could be tempted to try to knock him down, take him out. Walker doesn't race that way. He's going to battle him clean. So we had a nice battle between these two veterans. And there's John Gruy again, staying in the mix along with Destry Abbott.
And Abbott, I think he's one of the big surprises there aboard that number 30 Kawasaki. Hopefully we will see him more here at Loretta Lynn's in the future. There you see Mike Caton in second now, trying to battle with the number 11 of Kevin Walker. Walker finally makes his way around. And look at this. Walker is actually beginning to stretch things out already. And Caton's still in attack mode.
Caton knows better than this. He's not going to take chances. He's got a shot at a championship. He will let Walker go. And Walker in the end is going to end up 1-5-1, and that will not be enough. And how about the East Sparta, Ohio veteran, Mike Caton, getting it done in 2 classes out here? That's very difficult.
No doubt about that, and Caton very proud of himself, and for good reason. I don't think a lot of folks expected Caton to do nearly as well as what he has done in that 25-plus class and now in the 30-plus class.
So Kevin Walker will win 2 motos, but he will not get an overall record this year because he's only going to take 1 championship.
Let's head on down to the podium and talk with Mike Caton.
I knew Kevin was going to be tough. I didn't know if I could beat him. I wanted to at least try and run with him. I haven't seen him in a while, and I knew I was going to have to get good starts, and maybe for him to have one bad race, and that's what happened. He had one bad race, ended up 5th, and luckily I was able to capitalize on this situation and win that moto, and luckily I didn't have to beat him in that 3rd one.
That 35-plus class now, and Kevin Walker's dreams of becoming the winningest rider at Loretta Lynn's has come to a close, but he could tie the record here.
Yeah, he still has this 35-plus championship in his sights, and he grabs a great start here at Moto 1, but guess who he's got a battle with?
John
Gruy. Chris Kraft goes down early. He had actually taken the lead from Gruy and Walker, but there you see maybe hanging out a little bit too far over the edge, and he goes down. So it's Gruy and Walker battling it out up front.
Well, Walker will soon win that battle, and then all of a sudden the battle comes between Chris Young and John Gruy for second place. Both those riders on the Suzukis as we see them going over the big tabletop there.
Chris Young He does a lot of these races. He's not one of these guys coming out of retirement. I don't think he ever stopped racing in the Southern California area. He makes the move on Gruey for second, but Walker already starting to draw away from these guys in the number 11.
The battle for second is not over. Here comes Gruey once again trying to strike back on Young. Not going to get it done there. Some massive braking bumps. We've seen that rear wheel kick up. There's Kevin Walker over the big Camelback. He is beginning to stretch that lead out huge over the rest of the field.
Maybe no one has logged more laps in this track except Kevin Walker, except maybe John Gruey back there. There's Chris Young has now taken over the number 2 spot. I know he wanted to show Walker something, but he just didn't have the start to do it, at least in this first moto.
Second moto is starting to tell a big tell of the way that things are going to come to pass in Moto 3 as the checkers come out, and Kevin Walker wins Moto number 1, Chris Young at second, John Gruey third, Donald Baker fourth, and Dog Boysen back in fifth.
Pump it up for Kevin Walker. He's pumped. He's one of the most popular riders in the history of amateur motocross. He's the master of amateur racing. And what you have to do well out here, you have to get good starts. He's pretty good at that, too.
Moto number 2 now underway. And who's out front? It looks like, again, Kevin Walker out there with that number 91 this time of Chris Young, who gets the big drop on the gate.
Yeah, well, Young needed to start to run with Walker, and he got it this time. And, of course, John Gruey is there again, battling with these guys. I want to give a call to Gruey, who raced the very first Loretta Lynn National back in 1982. He has been here a long, long time, and he's still pretty darn fast.
You know, you got to have a lot of heart for a place like this whenever you've been coming since its inception. 24 years of it now, and he continues to come back. There's that battle, a 4-way battle now ensuing for that number 1 spot. Walker is still not out of the water here, Jason.
Absolutely not. Chris Young thought he could run with him, and he was putting in a great ride, but now John Gruey getting inspired and coming right back after Young.
Kurt McMillan also riding a very solid race here in this second moto, but the battle for third again between Gruey and Young. Walker all by himself up front again here in moto number 2. It's pretty much the same story between motos for Kevin Walker here in this Vet 35 Plus class, and looks like he may be on his way to tying that championship record held by Alessi.
Well, that was it. It was a close battle early in this one for Walker. Eventually he's able to gap those guys and then put it on cruise control, but even when he's going slow, he still looks pretty darn fast.
Well, as we come to a close here in moto number 2, the number 11 Yamaha rider Kevin Walker takes a win. Gruey in second, Young in third. Kurt McMillan holds on to fourth, and Jim Chester comes up to round out the top 5 at the end of moto number 2.
Man, all those guys ex-national pros. That's how stacked the competition is in these vet classes here at Loretta Lynn's.
Into moto number 3, and check it out. Another Suzuki grabbing the early lead, but Walker not too far behind. He quickly works his way to the front of the pack.
Man, McMillan is just forcing his way to the front. Came into that corner and used everyone else to basically slow him down. Didn't have to use the brakes, just use the other bikes. McMillan forces his way into the number 2 spot.
Well, Kevin Walker begins to stretch things out over second place, but back there behind him is where the heat is really on for those riders in this Vet 35 Plus moto number 3.
There's Mark Steele there on 49. Jim Chester is on number 18. Watch Steele land from this thing. Oh, that's a hard landing, face first on the handlebars. He will now yield to Chester at the number 13 of Dog Boysen, and they'll continue that battle throughout this moto.
And Boysen trying to reel in as much as he can, trying to, well, get back to the glory days, if you will. But Kevin Walker, he is in his own glory days right now as he is on his way to his 11th national championship here at Loretta Lynn's. And I tell you what, this guy has been coming nearly every year since its inception. He was just a small kid when they started, but talking to his mom, they've been coming here for years.
Absolutely. They came here even when Kevin was racing pro and he wasn't racing. Kevin Walker is now tied for the all-time championship record at Loretta Lynn's Ranch.
Number 11, Kevin Walker.
I'd like to thank my wife, my mom and dad, all my friends back home in Pinhook, Virginia who believed in me all my life, hung out with, gave me encouragement. Peace to God, brother. He keeps everybody safe.
That's a look at our top 42 riders now in our Bet 35 Plus class, but let's get to know Kevin Walker a little bit better.
Real fine. Keep sweating at this main thing. It's a long week. They put me on a bike when I was 4, and the first time I rode it, I run into the house and knocked the gutter off the house, you know. They picked me back up on it and told me to keep going. In my opinion, all I do is love to ride.
Yes, we've been racing for 35 years. Kevin was only a baby when Timmy started.
I mean, we've had so many people that I've raced with all these years that have went on up to the next level. And almost 80% of the guys racing the Nationals the past 10 years I have raced with and beaten somewhere along the line.
It is pretty stressful. It's nerve-wracking, but all I do is I just stand out there and watch him and pray the whole moto. So,
well, I'm proud of them anyway. If they finish for you, it's no different as long as the good Lord will let them come off the track safe and sane.
Like I said, you know, winning 12 titles here, being a celebrity or whatever you want to call it, they don't mean jack crap. I just like to be here. If people want to look at me that way, then so be it, but I'm not going to act like that.
Now taking a look at the senior 40-plus division. These guys have been around for a long, long time here at Loretta's and in motorcycle racing in general. Ones to watch out for, the number 28 of Kurt McMillan and the 82 of Earl May.
Earl May actually rides and trains and practices with Ricky Carmichael. That's about as good a sparring partner as you could ask for.
Grabbing the early lead here, the number 49 of Wendell Simmons out of Kentwood, Louisiana. Will he be able to hold on to it? We'll just have to wait and see as all these riders continue to jockey for position. It's got to be tough to get a great start here. And then, of course, if you don't get a great start, it's got to be tough to work your way back up, especially if you go down like that guy did right there.
McMillan didn't go down. He winds up taking the early lead here. McMillan, he raced Nationals forever, decided to come back out here at Loretta's and making good in his return right now, holding the early lead.
Battle for third, Mike Roth aboard the number 44 and Fred Nett aboard the number 14 as they make their way through this Thor six-pack. Will Nett be able to make the pass? Looks like he's got some pretty good momentum as they head toward the end of that six-pack region, but still the 44, Mike Roth, has the advantage as they head down in front of the billboards. That hard left-hander, and there you go. Earl May out front now in second place as he is trying to reel in the number 28 of Kurt McMillan.
McMillan's going to make it tough on May, though, for sure. McMillan is still in pretty good shape. Doesn't get tired in these long motos. And by the way, we want to mention, it is super hot out here. Anyone that raced here this week knows exactly what I'm talking about. It is hot, it is humid, and it's starting to take a toll on some of these guys, but not Kurt McMillan.
Taking a toll on a lot of those riders, but like you said, McMillan is on the gas. It looks like he's got things pretty much stretched out there for that number 28 machine. He will feel no pressure here in this first moto of racing as he will motor to the Moto number 1 win here in this actually the senior plus 40 division.
What you see in this class compared to some of the younger classes out here, consistency. All these guys are pretty solid throughout the week. Here's their top 5 of the first moto. It's McMillan, May, Roth, Nett, and Pickett. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We head to moto number 2 now in this senior 40-plus division. It's pretty much the same way right out of the gate. These riders all get out to the front of the pack. Kurt McMillan, Earl May, Mike Roth, Fred Nett, and they just basically have got to battle it out to find out where they're going to fall here in moto number 2. Well, there was one guy that fell right out of the gate, so much for my consistency theory, at least for this class. Riders stalling now in this back section of the course, headed in the 10 Commandments. And boy, again, you get a bad start through there, it's tough. But McMillan doing what he needs to do, landing smoothly from that tabletop. Yeah, the 40-plus guys, they'll jump that thing too. But the real battle is for second place because no one can catch McMillan in this moto either.
And it looks like the win for that battle for second place is going to go to the 82 of Earl May as he will start to stretch things out. Now things begin to heat up for that number 3 spot.
McMillan out of New York, out front, making it look pretty easy out here. And he's just an old school tough guy. Not a lot of special technique or style or anything like that. He just muscles that bike around. And even if he makes mistakes, it doesn't faze him too much. And that's what it takes. It's almost impossible to run 3 perfect motos out here. You just got to minimize the damage if you do have a problem.
The consistency you were talking about there, right there with May in second, McMillan out front. But here's the battle for third. It's Mike Roth and Scott Fredrickson, the number 20. Where did Scott come from? Roth is running in third. That's where he finished in moto number 1. He says, hey, we can't have this inconsistency here. Let me take that number 3 position. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen that way because Fredrickson actually has the advantage right here. Can Roth get around?
Man, Roth's been battling with guys pretty much every lap of all the motos out here. That's not someone battling McMillan. That's actually a lap rider. McMillan airing it out over that single. It's the Aeronautiques Beach that he's going around right now. And it looks like Kurt McMillan is going to go 1-1 through the first 2 motos. And now all he's got to do is deal with the pressure and the literal heat leading up to moto number 3.
Speaking of consistency, Earl May takes second, Roth in third, Fred Nett in fourth, and Scott Fredrickson will hold on for a 5th place position.
Championship on the line here for Kurt McMillan in moto number 3, and he dials in the start again. staring that pressure right in the face. And Earl May had to hope for a little bit worse of a start like that than McMillan got.
Looks like that number 49 of Wendell Simmons once again getting out to the early lead. He's one of those riders that's great off the start, but about 2 laps into the race he begins to fade, and riders like Kurt McMillan will overtake him and then, of course, take the lead. And McMillan here, you see, beginning to stretch out the lead once more. And again, it's consistency here in the senior 40-plus class. And back in second, the battle is on. Simmons is still in the hunt in this one, though.
Earl May will take his customary second-place spot. Here's the consistency we're talking about. In this class, the winner goes 1-1-1. The second-place guy goes 2-2-2. That's May. Our third-place rider, Mike Roth, is going to go 3-3-3, and so on and so on. Earl May had a solid performance this year, but unfortunately, Kurt McMillan was just a little bit faster.
The senior plus 40 class, always a fun one to watch. And like you said, a lot of names out there that used to race the Pro National Motocross. It's almost like a 1980s Pro National lineup out there. But these guys are at Loretta Lynn's for the greatest experience of their life, and that is the Amateur National Motocross Championship, the 24th annual running. And with these guys battling it out like this and things like this, you got to wonder, are they going to go back home and get prepared for the 25th annual running? And we'll see an even better race between these guys?
Well, you bet, but then what happens is there's always a 39-year-old guy that's going to turn 40 before next year, and McMillan and the boys are probably going to have to deal with him. So you got to enjoy it while it lasts, and Kurt McMillan's going to win all 3 motos and take a championship back to New York.
I feel real healthy physically, and I feel real strong right now. Yes, I did. I feel real good. I was planning on a real hard battle with Earl May, but I guess I worked out a little too hard for him.
To the senior 45-plus class now, and these guys are the true pioneers of American motocross out there, Jason. 45 years of age or older. The gate drops here in moto number 1. Who's going to get the early lead?
Ooh, boy, you hate to see first-turn pileups, especially in this class. You don't get up quite so quickly when you're 45 or older. This is the oldest class out here. Luckily, it looked like most of those guys get up and they were okay.
Donnie Banks aboard that number 38 Honda will grab the early lead, and laying chase to him 41 other 45-plus-year-old riders. But Donnie Banks is not going to be denied, at least early on here. He's out of Forsyth, Georgia, and also a track promoter himself down in southern Georgia.
Well, Donnie actually does a lot of work down here, runs the starting gate when he's not out on the track here at Loretta Lynn, so no rest for the weary at all.
Battle for second is on. Joseph Fritz aboard the number 60 and Robert Handy aboard the number 54. And you see Handy making the pass there on the outside. Now, will he be able to hang on to that second place position as they both lay chase to that number 38 of Donnie Banks? Looks like now Handy is challenging Banks for that number 1 position. So it goes from the battle for second now for the battle for lead, and Donnie Banks finds himself under pressure.
Oh, here comes Handy around the outside, headed in the 10 Commandments, and you can tell these guys are better riders. Banks knew exactly what to do. He just took the line away, nothing dirty, but he does hold Handy off, and sometimes that'll take the wind out of a guy's sails. He thinks he has the pass made. You're able to respond as they battle out of the 10 Commandments. Yes, Banks is not only able to hold the lead, he puts a couple of bike lengths between himself and Handy.
Well, the battle isn't over just yet as Handy once again strikes back, and this time he strikes hard and takes the pass and the lead away from Donnie Banks here in moto number 1.
Headed around Aeronautiques Beach, Banks trying to hold close. And meanwhile, your champion in this class from last year, Matt Tedder, again, they pick your gates here completely random. Matt Tedder had a bad start, broke off his rear fender in a crash. He holds on for 4th, but Robert Handy holds on for the win.
So it goes Handy, Banks, Fritz, Tedder, and Craig Pickett. On to moto number 2 now here in the senior 45-plus class. How are things going to break down here as we head into that first turn? The old guys seem to be working their way through that first turn quite nicely, as not very many people going down, actually 0 there in moto number 2.
You saw the number 1 Kawasaki of Tedder, a little bit better start this time. He's got his work cut out for him, though, with that 4th place in moto number 1 to try to win the title.
Donnie Banks battling it out for second here early on in moto number 2, this time with Joe Jordan, the number 15 machine, and he has got his work cut out for him. He makes the pass on him. Now Jordan is going to try to strike back, but Handy is in the lead, and Robert Handy wants to make a second moto win. Will he be able to get it done here or not? Time will tell this story, and as time rolls on, Robert Handy is the man.
Well, yeah, but Handy appeared to have this thing in hand, not only a second moto win, but maybe a championship, but he will run into some problems, and suddenly Handy will go down, and now you've got Banks and Tedder. They probably didn't even realize this, but this would turn out to be a battle for the lead and the win in this second moto.
Handy, you see out front, but there is the battle. Like you said, there goes Tedder on the outside of Banks. Banks nearly pushing him off the track, but Tedder showing why he is the national champion. And there is Handy there, as you mentioned, went off the side of the track, can't get the machine refired. Tedder now all by himself out front, doesn't even know where Banks is aboard that number 38 machine.
Oh, man, do you think Tedder's 45 years old the way he came out of that corner? Looked like a 16-year-old kid in the schoolboy class. Tedder winds up taking moto number 2. He needed some help, and he got it. Bad finish, unfortunately, for Handy, and suddenly Tedder is back in control of the championship.
On to moto number 3, Donnie Banks getting off the gate strong once again and up front, but he's got company. Donnie Banks may be out in the early lead, but will he be able to hang on to it through the rest of these turns?
Well, with the problems for Handy, the championship came down to Tedder versus Banks. Banks has been in this position before. He's actually an ATV national champion from back in the day. And Tedder, of course, won this title last year. Here comes Banks putting the challenge on Matt Tedder.
Donnie Banks obviously riding like he wants that championship, but Tedder has that number 1 plate for a reason in this senior 45-plus class because he is very consistent, he is very smart, and he's a very strong rider as we see him making his way around this race course and beginning to stretch things out over the number 38 of Banks.
Pretty nice story with Tedder. He's got a whole bunch of kids. They have something like 40 motorcycles at home, and they are all into it. A lot of them race here at Loretta's along with Dad. There's Donnie Banks in second place trying to keep him in sight, but Matt Tedder's pretty darn quick.
And, of course, Banks making his way around that Honda section now through the 10 Commandments, and Banks still trying to charge hard to catch up to the number 1 of Tedder, but I believe it's going to be too little too late, and Tedder's going to walk away with this one here in moto number 3, and that's going to give him actually the opportunity to take the championship with a 4-1-1, but Banks, don't count him out yet, as he will still try to reel in Tedder in any way, shape, or form that he can.
Yeah, but mistakes are hard to come by in this 45-plus group. Tedder airing out the big tabletop. No problems, no worries. First moto was a little bit tricky, but after that, Matt Tedder was on a rail, and he's got his second straight championship in this class.
Oh, fantastic competition. They were all over me, and it was not easy, let me tell you. Those guys are not couch potato guys. These guys on the East Coast really have this weather figured out, and it's tough for us West Coast guys, so I definitely had to try very hard.
Motocross support manager for Team Suzuki, Cole Gress. And Cole, you guys a big part of Loretta Lynn's once again this year.
Oh yeah, it's awesome to be here. I mean, it's a great event to come to. I mean, we've been here every year, you know, from almost the beginning. And you know, I came on Suzuki in this position in '99, and it's just been awesome. You know, I've had some really good riders come through the ranks, and this is the place to get your work done. And if you can win titles here, it's pretty much a premonition that you can go on further in this sport and do real well. So we're happy to be here. It's always an awesome event, and I couldn't ask for anything more from a big motocross event.
On to the 125C stock class, the virtually unknowns in this class, Jason.
Yeah, that means that these guys are new to the sport. They are novice racers, but there's a place for even those guys at Loretta Lynn, but still, you've got the best of the beginners, so they're all still pretty quick.
22 grabbing the early lead, Tyler Fisher, nearly going down there in this early class and obviously showing that he is a novice.
Well, that's going to be the story in a lot of these classes in the C ranks. A lot of these guys make mistakes, they ride very hard, but you never know what's going to happen. A big change compared to that 45-plus class, and here's an example. Fisher in our lead goes down.
Tough break for Fisher. Oscar Diaz, though, will take the advantage of that, and the number 68 will move to the front of the pack, and he will open up a pretty good-sized lead. As you can already see, he is in the lap traffic out there for that number 68 Honda.
Well, by the end of the week, we were calling Oscar Diaz Oscar de la Hoya because he was throwing knockout blows in every single moto he was in. He was rolling. There's Derek Anderson in the number 24, the number 3 spot. But I guess out of all the beginner riders, Diaz looked the least like a beginner. He was just a little bit faster, a little bit smoother than his competition out here.
Well, very consistent here in moto number 1. He just bided his time throughout the course of that moto, moved into the number 1 spot, then just pretty much rode there. Meanwhile, Derek Anderson does the same thing as he moves into that number 3 spot aboard the number 24 machine. He gets wrapped up with some lap traffic also, but there he is, Oscar Diaz, the man of at least the hour here in moto number 1.
Yeah, so Diaz getting it done. Another rider coming in from overseas, showing the true international flair of the Loretta Lynn's Amateur National Championships, brought to you by Aeronautiques. And here is Diaz headed toward the checkered flag. So, hey, he's a beginner, but he knows exactly what he's supposed to do, and that's win.
Well, he'll win, and Wes Johnson will take second. Derek Anderson will round out the top 3 in a 125C stock moto number 1. Now we go to moto number 2, and the action heats up early on.
Well, yeah, you never know in the C class. Whatever happens in moto number 1, it could be completely different in moto number 2. These guys have not mastered that consistency formula yet, and we're looking for Diaz to try to bust through here and try to take some control of this class.
Keep an eye out for that number 74. That is Robbie Brockman out of Rio Rancho, New Mexico, as he will work his way up through the pack. And we can see already that a battle for the lead is beginning to ensue with Robbie Brockman and the number 24 of Derek Anderson. He's back in there once more.
Didn't see much of Brockman in moto number 1, but then again, we don't see much of Diaz here in moto number 2, and that's what we're talking about with the inconsistency. And right now, Anderson, he's been pretty solid. He has a 3rd, now running in 2nd. And is that Oscar Diaz beginning to work his way toward the front?
Yes, it is. He's back in the number 3 spot aboard that number 68, but there's Anderson aboard the number 24. Check this out. Trouble abounds, and riders will capitalize on that. Derek Anderson going down, coming out of that back section, and Diaz gets by, as will the number 74 of Robbie Brockman.
Well, I apologize for saying that he was fairly consistent because that bit him, and suddenly Diaz finds himself in the lead once again.
It was basically handed to him twice in a row. Both motos given to the number 68 of Oscar Diaz, and all he has to do is get up front. Once he gets there, he's just got to ride his own race the rest of the way out because everyone is struggling and fighting it out back there behind him. And, of course, Diaz will make it 1-1 with 2 moto wins so far as we get set to head into moto number 3. Here's the way the rest of it breaks down. Brockman takes second. Chappelle up from 4th to a 3rd place finish here in moto number 2. Heading to moto number 3 now. The gate is down, and again, inconsistency is the name of the game here in this 125C stock class.
Diaz going to try to hold on to a title. Bad news for all these guys going down to the first turn.
Including that number 24 machine as he finds himself down in turn number 1. Not going to be much of a factor here in the 3rd and final moto. Again, that is Derek Anderson.
Yeah, that was Anderson again. So I apologize for saying he was looking pretty consistent because ever since then, he's been cursed. Now, Oscar Diaz, no problems like that. He's going for 3 moto wins in 3 motos. Robbie Brockman trying to run him down. He's been pretty solid here as well. But again, Oscar Diaz looks a little less like a beginner than the rest of the beginners because he was the smartest and the smoothest.
And, of course, Diaz out front stretching it out. Meanwhile, Brockman finished 6th in the first moto, 2nd in the second moto, and is working on a 2nd place finish here in moto number 3. And as things really begin to tighten up, you can see that the racing action back for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. It's really, really tight back there. But Diaz has nothing to worry about as, again, you know, things were pretty much given to him those first 2 motos, and he's just out riding his own race here in this 3rd and final moto.
Yeah, so Diaz out front, headed toward a championship at Loretta Lynn's. It doesn't matter what class it's in. They're all national number 1 plates, and that's big, whether in the C class, B class, A class, H class, whatever. It jumps pretty darn big, too, and they will jump that in the C class. That's how stiff the competition is down here.
You're right. I get the 1st place in the sprint moto, so I think I was practicing hard before Loretta, so I think that's good for me. So I feel so happy.
On to the 125C Modified now, and this is yet another version of our novice class riders as the gate drops. One to watch here, Robbie Brockman. No Oscar Diaz in this particular division.
Yeah, so that opens the door for a bunch of these kids to get a chance at a championship here. And guess who goes down? It's their old buddy Tyler Fisher. We saw him go down early in the stock class moto and now in the mod class as well. But hey, he gets on the DVD one way or another.
That's for sure. 39 of Ren Fuller pulls out to the early lead. Meanwhile, behind him, a battle for third place is beginning to ensue there. And we got 3 riders that are going at it as they make their way through that Thor six-pack section of the race course.
Well, you got Robbie Brockman in there. We mentioned he's back in this class. Garrett Church is on the number 27 Yamaha. Brockman working his way now into the number 2 spot. And Ren Fuller up, man. He's out front so far.
Ren Fuller, number 39 machine, has a gap over second, but Robbie Brockman has a fistful of throttle right behind him and is trying to reel him in, and it's early in the moto still, so Brockman actually still has a chance. We'll see if he can close that gap and create a battle for that number 1 spot. Lap traffic going to become a factor here pretty soon, as there you see it. The battle for the lead is on. Fuller and Brockman now go at it behind the billboard, and Brockman goes to the inside and makes the pass.
Great move by Brockman getting inside of Fuller. You saw Fuller making just a few mistakes there. That allowed Brockman to catch up, and now he's going to try to draw away and win this moto, and that's exactly what he will do.
Well, as Brockman takes the win, behind him it is Ren Fuller, Logan Smith, Josh Burdett, and Colton Sloan to round out the top 5. On to moto number 2 now in our 125C Modified class, and back at it we go. And again, Robbie Brockman is going to be one to watch up front, but check it out. Riders going way wide, a lot off the race course, but many staying on, and they continue to jockey for position as they head into that 10 Commandment section.
The start is very important here. The dirt is disced up real deep. That means if you don't get a good drive of momentum, you get sucked into that. It's like riding through mud.
Early on, a battle for the lead between Ren Fuller and Josh Burdett this time, the number 24 machine. As you can see, these guys go at it intensely over the first part of this second moto in this 125C Modified class.
Man, it's one of the best battles we've seen all week. Burdett gets too far to the inside, cannot hold his line, but he will not let Ren Fuller go. And meanwhile, they're leading that first moto winner, Robbie Brockman, who's trying to make up some ground in the number 3 spot.
He's closing up fast. You can see him already beginning to reel in the leaders there. There's the battle for 4th between Nick Bussey and Casey Bruce, the number 18 machine. Back up front, though, between Fuller, the 39, and Josh Burdett, the number 24. Battle for the lead.
Oh, and here comes Brockman on 74. So great racing between all 3 of these guys. You can see him. Well, so can the number 24. He looks back over his shoulder. That's Burdett looking back, and here's what he sees. Robbie Brockman coming on 74.
Robbie Brockman is all in his rear view mirror, and he's back 2 positions behind him, and you know that he's got to be feeling the sweat, and of course he did, because Brockman was finally able to overtake both those riders and take over the lead.
Well, now Brockman not only will have 2 moto wins, but a whole lot of confidence are coming from behind in that one, headed toward a championship in moto number 3.
As we look at our results, it's Bussey in 2nd, Fuller 3rd, Burdett in 4th, and Gregory Lamy rounding out the top 5 this time. A lot of inconsistency there as we go to moto number 3 now.
All right, moto number 3. Brockman's got to just try to hold on, get a good solid finish here to win the championship, but you never know in this C-class. It's usually pretty wild.
The rider that's been consistent so far, Robbie Brockman aboard the number 74, and also the number 39 of Ren Fuller, the ones we're going to be watching out for here in moto number 3. And in reality, the championship can come down between these 2 riders. And again, Ren Fuller gets out to the early lead, but this time around, the 74 of Brockman right there on his rear wheels.
Well, Fuller laid it out there. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but either way, this kid hangs it out. He's been battling every inch of every moto. And look at this battle. How can you even keep track of this battle here for 6th place? This is C-class racing at its best. A bunch of kids just all hanging out and going for it.
The number 22 of Tyler Fisher will take over the 6th place position and actually finish there in that 3rd and final moto. Meanwhile, Robbie Brockman out front will take the win here in this 3rd and final moto and make it a clean sweep, a 1-1-1.
My dad's always been in the motocross, and I've always wanted to do it, and finally got myself a bike. This is the best race by far. As long as I make the Lorettas next year, I'll be happy. I'm going to do my best to do that.
be here. We're honored that, you know, families want to be a part of what we're doing, and we want to be a part of the family. You know, this is a great family sport. Amateur motocross is growing leaps and bounds, as you know, each and every year, and it's families that grow with it. And that's the neat thing about amateur motocross is the families, and we want to enhance that family atmosphere and letting people know, hey, we're here for them. We want to support them, just like Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha. They pull in to support people that buy their product. We want to be here to support the riders in that same way. We're not here to tell everybody what they got to do, this and that, but we're here to say God loves you. And for them guys to know that in their heart and to remember it on the stand, that's the blessing of that makes worth driving all over this country. And that's what makes worth staying on the road 48 weekends out of the year. That's what makes it worthwhile.
250 Open C now, Jason, and back at it once more. Oscar Diaz will be keeping an eye on that number 68 Honda.
Oscar De La Hoya Diaz trying to land another knockout punch on this class here, 250 Open C. Into the first turn, a little bit faster than they were the last time around when they were on the 125 size bikes. And we got a rider down again. That's not Tyler Fisher this time.
It's Mark Davis out of Sykesville, Maryland, setting off a chain reaction, it looks like, behind him, but actually that's a first turn crash those guys are trying to unwad those bikes from. Meanwhile, up front, Derek Anderson, the 24, and Oscar Diaz get in a battle for that number 1 spot.
Yeah, we saw these guys battle it out earlier in the 125 group. Here they are again on 250s. Notice that they just watered and groomed the track. You see the dozer tracks out there, so you got to be really, really careful, at least a couple of laps.
Diaz finally making the pass as they make their way over that big tabletop now, and as they go over the camelback, it is Diaz out front, and Derek Anderson will have to settle up for second here in this moto. Meanwhile, Derek Anderson goes down as he tries to reclaim that number 1 position away from Diaz. That's going to take the steam out of his sails for sure.
Well, Anderson was fast, just went down a few too many times here to win a title this year. And Diaz, well, he's covered in mud. He had to work his way through the pack, but he's looking pretty good right now. Elects not to jump that big jump. And notice that the dozer tracks are gone. There are solid ruts and lap traffic all over the place as more riders log more laps here at the range.
And notice that Diaz also losing that front number plate, so it's been a rough moto for him as well, as he had to work his way up, challenge for the lead, finally take the lead before he could actually claim a moto win here in this 250 Open C division. And he does it. Moto 1 winner, Oscar Diaz aboard the number 68 machine with Wes Johnson in second, Derek Anderson back up for third, Tyler Case in fourth, and Mike Kruger rounding out the top 5 on the Moto 2 now.
All right, Diaz working on a second championship here, working his way to the inside and grabs the early lead. Make sure everybody else goes into the banners to slow them down a little bit, but it doesn't matter because the rider on the Kawasaki is going to be able to get around him early.
Derek Anderson will grab the early lead here in the second moto once again, and you know it sets the battle up again between the number 24 of Anderson and the number 68 of Oscar Diaz. And again, Diaz trying to chase him down and get some big air over that tabletop and actually gain some ground on him. And that battle for the lead intensifies early on here, but Anderson rises to the occasion through the 10 Commandments, around the back section, through this little rhythm section, back up over the tabletop, and this time around it is the 68 of Diaz out front with Anderson now trying to reel Diaz in.
We did not rewind the tape here. These guys did battle like this moto after moto after moto. This time Anderson keeps it on 2 wheels, but Diaz just a little bit faster, able to pull away. Good to see Anderson just keep coming back for more though. Got the lead early after Diaz got the whole shot, fought for a little while, and he's actually going to hold on for a decent finish this time, taking the runner-up spot.
Diaz looking behind his shoulder, trying to find out where second place position rider happens to be at this point. Nowhere in sight for the 68 Honda, so he'll motor on to a second moto victory here in this 250 Open C division. Oscar Diaz obviously showing he is the man to beat in these novice ranks.
Oscar Diaz headed to his second moto win. Now 5 out of 5 with moto wins so far this week. Anderson second, Wes Johnson is third, Mike Kruger fourth, and Mark Davis, who we saw going down in another moto, ends up fifth this time.
Now on to moto number 3 in this 250 Open C division, and Oscar Diaz going to try to sweep this class as he did earlier, but can he get it done here today? Wes Johnson, Derek Anderson, Kruger, all these guys are going to have something to say about that.
Well, what it comes down to, I think it's a little bit of pressure because Diaz will have his problems in this moto and nearly throws the championship away with a whole bunch of crashes out here.
The 66 of Mike Kruger getting off to the early lead on board his Yamaha. You've seen him leading them into the 10 Commandments now as we continue around the race course. Mike Kruger is beginning to open up a lead over the entire field of 250 Open C riders here in this third and final moto. Making his mark late in the racing, but at least he is making his mark down here at Loretta Lynn's.
All right, here's Diaz going after Kruger. Diaz, of course, wants to win all 6 motos out here. Doesn't really need to beat Kruger for the championship, but what the heck? When the moto win is in front of you, you might as well go for it. But Diaz nearly throws it away. He ends up crashing, recovers, and picks it up in the number 2 spot. He will actually crash again, but still be able to hold on and win that championship. So Diaz, who was so perfect going into this moto, almost threw it away.
Wes Johnson back in the number 3 spot aboard that number 79 machine. He rode a solid 3 moto down here at Loretta Lynn's. He finished second in Moto 1, third in Moto number 2, and looks like he may be looking to score a third here in the third and final moto, as Oscar Diaz will take the overall championship here with a second in Moto number 3.
All right, I take the title to the C class, so the 250 Open. I want to do the same thing with the 125. I get my first 2 motos. I finished first place, so I'm very happy with the 125. So let's see what happens in 125.